Hey everybody, welcome to a awesome product feature that we're super excited about here. We're talking about protecting your investment. We're talking about transporting your gear. We're talking about things that we already use here, and we're really excited to share it with you. Mono cases. My favorite case company, especially for cymbal bags, they make a lot more stuff than that. I think most people have either seen cymbal bags or possibly guitar bags when you're on the gig with your friends. They've given us the opportunity to show you some new things that they're doing, some new design features, and ultimately just amazing ways to keep your gear safe, keep you comfortable when you're schlepping it there. Part one today, we're going to start off with the studio stick case and the cymbal cases. The studio stick cases are available in ash and black. We have the ash finish here today, which is kind of the newer of the two. And I feel like a lot of times people think that a stick case is really just a sleeve to put sticks in, but there's a lot more to it than that, or there can be, depending on what you're bringing with you and what you want it to do. First of all, capacity. We're talking about being able to comfortably get at least 10 pairs of sticks inside of this, which is more than enough for most any gig I'm going to do, along with brushes and broomsticks and different things like that. It also has a discrete pocket for a drum key, so you're not having to fish around in the bottom of the deep pockets for that. It has a super heavy-duty zipper. All the materials are super tough. The inside of the stick bag is untextured fabric rather than what you would see if it was Cordura or something like that, so it means that you're not going to get your brushes or your broomsticks or anything like that stuck when you're putting them back in the bag. It's pretty common for people to want to hang their stick bags on their floor tom or perhaps on the floor tom legs. There are lots of different things in stick bags that are for that. We have elastic loops in these, which are nice and kind of out of the way, and they're stretchy enough that you can get them on most any floor tom and also reach them around for the legs of your floor tom if you prefer to have it sitting on the floor as I do. On the outside of the bag, we have one kind of large pocket that has sort of a flap open design, which has inner pockets that you could put pencils or different little things that you might need to keep track of along with your phone in the larger area. And then there's a sleeve for like an ID or a business card or something like that if you want to keep anything like that in there. Also, like a lot of the cases from Mono, there's a nice little clip inside of the outer pocket if you want to keep your keys in there or if you want to clip an extra drum key in that area. Now, a moment about construction. If you've played for a long period in your life and, trucked your stuff around, like me, you've probably been through a lot of stick bags. I used to just get the inexpensive ones because I thought of them as a disposable piece of my equipment, and they would rip and they would tear, and some of them would thrash the stuff that was inside of it. Basically, unless I left them at home all the time, they didn't last very long. These cases are meant to last. There are all sorts of things all over them that are specific to them being particularly rugged, particularly protective. The handle on the top is both heavy-duty stitched and riveted on, which is a Mono thing that they like to do for, the top carry handles. It also has clasps for a shoulder strap on the back. Everything about it speaks to me of a thing that's going to last for a really long time. The material on the outside, similarly, super tough, not too rough, but definitely plenty of protection on the outside in addition to how thick the padding is on the body of the thing. Compared to cymbal bags and drum bags and cases and things like that, people don't think so much about the contents of their stick bag as being particularly precious or in need of protection. But if you think about it, 10 pairs of sticks, or let's say 8 pairs of sticks and a pair of brushes and a pair of mallets, starts to be kind of a lot of money. And especially in situations where maybe you're on the road or if you're having to cart your stuff around like we do in the city, just like by hand, There's kind of a lot of precious stuff in there, not to mention that, if anything else that you might want to keep in there. I mean, I keep earplugs in there. I've kept in-ear monitors in there for days at a time. And then conversely, like if you're doing a van thing, you might be keeping it in your hardware case, or it might just be getting rammed underneath things. It's a little bag. People shove it behind things. If people are helping you load the van who don't know you, which is a thing that happens, making sure that, like, I mean, honestly, showing up to the gig without the stick bag is probably the worst thing that could happen to me. I mean, if I forget a tom, or if I forget a cymbal stand, or if I forget my cymbal bag, I can probably still figure out how to do the gig. If I don't have any sticks and brushes and mallets, it's going to be a weird night. In my mind, carrying your cymbals, it falls between either bags or cases. These are cases. These are super protective. These are heavy duty. These are basically the reasons why I got one in the first place. I've had one for years, and it's given me nothing but good results. These today come in ash, as we have here. They also come in black, and you can get them in 22 and 24-inch diameters, depending on what your needs are. This is basically several cases pushed together into one case. We're talking about a 10-inch splash pocket. We're talking about a 15-inch hi-hat pocket. We're talking about a 22 or 24-inch primary cymbal pocket. And then little things inside of each of those. The splash pocket has a place for business cards. The hi-hat pocket has a place for your clutch, for your hi-hat. That's beautifully shown. You know exactly where to put it. And then in the large pocket, we have enough dividers to do basically, all the cymbals that I could imagine wanting to carry on my back at a time. Starting from the big pocket, there's enough dividers built into this to where 5 cymbals will be completely separated from each other. And if you're like me and maybe have a couple of cymbals in your setup that are very similar in size and profile, you can kind of nest them together. But let's say 5 that are utterly protected in there. Then add hi-hats in the hi-hat pocket, a splash on the outside. You're talking about 6 plus hi-hats that are completely separated from each other. They're not going to bang into each other. You're not going to have to worry about any kind of damage that could possibly result from them living in that space together. If we price things out in terms of like getting a set of cymbals that would actually fill this case, we went with like a ride, 2 crashes, a China, maybe like a ozone crash, set of hi-hats, a splash. We're looking in excess of $2,000, between $2,000 and $2,500, depending on the brand that you choose. That's a lot of money. And I don't carry around that many cymbals, but there's plenty of gigs where that kind of thing is appropriate. And for one thing, it all fits in the bag comfortably. But that's a lot of stuff to protect. We want to keep these things safe. The worst thing in the world is to have a cymbal damaged when it's not even on a stand. You're not even hitting it. That is just the worst. And this is a small price to pay to ensure that whether you're in the van or wherever you're going, that these things are going to be safe. To generate this kind of protection that we're looking for here, from the ground up, we're starting with a really rugged kind of rubber foot on the bottom with teeth in it, so when you're leaning the bag, it's not going to slide, and you've also got protection if you find yourself having to set it down hard, or if it happens to slip in some way and come down on the bottom. Next up, we have padding all the way around the edge with an offset zipper. This is hugely important because most cymbal cases, bags, what have you, if they have a zipper, it tends to sit straight on the edge, which is where the edge of your cymbal is. So you're talking about interlocking metal teeth meeting the edge of your cymbal, and a ding is what turns into a crack a lot of times. So what we got here, which is wonderfully unique and just the way to do it, is that the edges of your cymbals never meet the zipper. They're always meeting the soft inside of the bag, so you're never running into this type of situation. Coming around to the top, we have the mono, super nice, rugged handle. It is riveted on, it is stitched on. All of the stitching on this whole thing is extremely rugged. It's designed to take a beating. The one that I've had for years, other than basically just having some rub marks on it, you could consider it to be new, and it's been to hundreds of gigs. So believe me when I tell you that keeping this investment intact and happy, and anytime you get a new cymbal and you want to make sure it stays clean and pristine, this is the way to go. A little side note that is something that I stumbled on because I'm not a real big user of splash cymbals, at least in the traditional sense, is that I started using the little bag on the outside of this for things like drum keys, things like bandanas, stuff like that, and also just for a situation where if I needed to get rid of something that was in my pockets, like my wallet or my phone, there's a pocket there that doesn't have anything sharp or protruding that's going to like punch through my screen or ding up any of my personal stuff. It ends up being kind of like your little like extra pocket on there like you'd have on your pants. And then keeping the hi-hats in the hi-hat bag, the large stuff in the big pocket, and basically all of my things are in this one bag and I know where to look for when I'm running to the gig. Kind of the unsung hero of these bags is that there's a very large pocket opposite all of these pockets that's basically a catch-all and doubles as the place to put the shoulder straps if you're not using them. They slide into it. It has some Velcro at the top to keep it shut. This is where things like an extra t-shirt, extra sticks, extra felts, anything that's just kind of, you know, a catch-all sort of thing, but where you need enough space for it to drop in there. You could put extra drum heads in there if you need to. It's enormous. Shoulder straps on a cymbal bag or case. Hugely important. I haven't had one that didn't have these for ages now. As soon as I checked out a backpack bag, I was totally sold. These are the most comfortable ones that I have worn, bar none. The spacing at the top is correct for good posture. They're not too far apart set, which I've found to give me horrible back problems. They also are including a little chest clip, kind of like you'd see in like a hiking pack or something like that. This is really wonderful for centering it, keeping it secure, keeping it up high on your shoulders and not dragging too low. And if you're like me and occasionally are doing gigs that you're going to ride your bike to, which happens sometimes, it might just be like a light kind of thing. You just bring in hi-hats and a cymbal. It's not too heavy. It cinches down incredibly tight on your back, so you don't have to worry about it flopping around. You can't beat it. Now, something that I don't think that mono necessarily intended, but has been a feature that I have used more often than I expected to, is something that I learned from a few different drummers. When you're traveling and you can't bring your own drums, maybe you just really like the kind of snare head that you use, or maybe you like to use a certain kind of head on your toms and your snare. In the case of a big bag, it could even be a bass drum head. Because of the design of these bags where they actually have depth to them, it's not just like an envelope like this. You can put drum heads in there as well as cymbals and have everything be totally safe and separated so that when you get to the gig, if you're using a backline and you get there and the heads on the snare are, say, totally thrashed or something that you can't play brushes on or whatever it is, there's more than enough room in there to take, like I would, maybe 3 cymbals in that pocket and enough heads for a whole kit, frankly, because they can nest together once you get them out of the boxes. Being able to do this has gotten me out of several tight spots in touring situations where there just wasn't the opportunity to bring anything other than my cymbal bag. Basically, no matter how you look at it, this is the case that's going to survive planes, trains, automobiles, walking, backpack. I can't think of a better solution for bringing not just cymbals, but also, you know, sticks, percussion, extra drum heads, anything you can think of. All right, that about wraps up part 1. Stick with us. We're going to dive into part 2, talking about the double pedal case and the snare case. If you'd like any more information about any of these products, click the link below in the description. Jump over to the Mono website, learn all about it. And thanks so much to Mono for sponsoring this video and showing us all this great stuff.